Missing a pair.
Okay, a little pen.
Why do you have a pen? Hi everyone, welcome back to That's So Psych. We'll be your host for today. I'm Nafa.
And I'm Andrea.
And this is the second episode of our series, Rewriting Me. Something you'll notice as our episodes go forth is we tend to alternate between topics on identity and growth. And I feel like our title, Rewriting Me, very much encapsulates why, with me focused on identity, and rewriting is because identity is something we grow into and it constantly keeps changing, and we want to highlight that. And so today we're adding a new variable, growth. And without further ado, Andy.
Yes.
I'm going to pull the rug out from under you.
Go ahead.
You love the beach, you love swimming.
I do. Let's do it.
Pushing you to the deep end.
Hit me.
I'm gonna.
Okay.
Can you recount a moment where you felt a visceral sense of, oh, I feel like a grown-up right now?
Okay. Okay, so let's go. A few weeks ago, I guess, was stalking myself on Instagram, as one does during their free time. And I realized that my Instagram highlights from like 2 years ago were vastly different to my highlights right now, in a sense that I posted more frequently, I posted way more, and I was just out there. Not to say that I'm not out there right now, but I'm just not socially oriented as I was before. And I want to connect this to the first episode topic, what our previous hosts, Yanni and Shani, talked about.
Shout out to them.
Shout out. But about like living for yourselves. And I could say that 2 years ago, I wasn't really living for myself. Right? But right now, I can say that I'm confident in my like identity, and I've grown out of that kind of thinking that I had to post for just like the online perspective.
Of course.
But yeah, that would be my answer.
Yeah. That's really good.
Thank you.
I love that you mentioned that you grew out of it and you saw the change come across. Do you feel like sometimes growth is very obvious like that?
To highlight on that, actually, when I was making this sort of thinking of like my growth and everything, it didn't come to me immediately. I do want to highlight that growth and change, especially within yourself, can be very hard to pinpoint because we are with ourselves every day. We are constantly interacting with ourselves, obviously, and we can't. It's hard, right? And I just want to highlight that just because you can't pinpoint a change or can't pinpoint growth doesn't mean you haven't grown or you haven't changed in the process. And I would actually ask the audience to reflect, take a moment to see where you are now and where you were before. But that was actually a really good question. Thank you.
Thank you. I tried so hard. But yeah, I really like what you said about the fact that growth may not be as noticeable.
Yeah, true.
Because we don't change quantitatively. It's very qualitative.
Yes.
If we think of like a leveling up system, we don't immediately go to like level 2. That's like a little progress bar, and we slowly inch closer and closer. You work towards it.
1 point, yeah.
And I feel like that's how it works.
That's great.
And if we can kind of go back to your earlier point, because we're going to keep reversing. I like how you mentioned that you grew out of being socially oriented and now you're very much living for yourself. And I like that we as a species can do that because of these things called schemas. And in the most basic sense, they're like these knowledge base, these building blocks we have about ourselves and the world. And that's what schemas are.
To go off of what they were saying, schemas in like a more layman's terms, think of Inside Out, right?
Yes.
Riley, her little bubbles, was it?
It's like little golden globes
sort of thing, where she had like beliefs about herself, where she was either good at hockey or that she was a really good friend. Those are what schemas are in like a simple sort of sense.
I love that you brought that in, because I think when the emotions like put those golden globes in like a thing, she felt that emotion, she remembered that memory, and that's like an example of our schemas being activated. But in terms of growth, something that schemas do is it also changes our mindset from like a fixed or growth mindset, because it adapts. I'm going to use our batch in psychology as an example. So a lot of us, when we entered psychology, may not have preferred maths as a subject.
Definitely.
Which isn't the best thing when we do psychology.
There's a lot of stats. There's so much.
2 painstaking years of learning stats and SPSS. And that would be very hard to do unless our schemas adapt to understand the content, understand the module, which I want to say we have. I quite like stats now. What do you think?
I don't want to answer that question. Continue.
Okay, but you feel like you've adapted, right? Like you know
I
what the
definitely
data
did.
means.
I do know I'm better in maths overall now. I had to grow out of that mindset.
And it works. We
it
have
did
a growth
work.
mindset.
I do want to add on that though. It is great that we can break apart from these like fixed mindsets. But within like your journey in terms of breaking out of it,
Yeah.
can I ask, was it ever like scary? Was it uncomfortable? Can you just like expand on that?
Oh, you think maths was scary for me? Me?
Yeah.
You think I was afraid of maths? Terrified.
Terrifying.
The coming to uni, we had to do a math aptitude test, and I think that crushed me. I was so scared of doing that aptitude test.
Okay, same. But yeah, that's completely valid. Growth can be scary. Growth is scary. It's a sort of natural process. However, even though how scary growth can be and uncomfortable it might be, and that's like a whole other process towards it, we won't get into that now. Perhaps there's a future episode on it. Hint, hint. Maybe. Okay, in the future. But going back to the point, right? No matter how scary growth is, we still crave it. Like we always talk about, I can't wait to grow up. I can't wait to do this. I can't wait to do that. Like I can't wait to do X, Y, Z when I grow up. Why do you like think that is? Like I want to pass the ball to you when you ask me like my questions about like independence and like growth. I want to move it to you.
Why I feel like we crave this?
Yes, I have my answer, but like.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I feel like when I think back to independence, it's like something we had to achieve. Like, being independent felt like you're doing things yourself.
It's independence. And I would answer it being like, we crave growth because of independence. It's not that we crave growing up. We crave that sort of sense of, I can't wait to do this alone, or I can't wait to do that alone. And it's overall just independence, really. Again, another question.
Yeah, of course.
Can you give me any like examples of when you felt truly independent?
My peak independence moment.
Peak independence moment.
Tying my hair up for school.
Oh,
It's like 4th grade. I woke up the nerve
that's
to go
so
to my mom like,
sweet.
Mama, can I please tie my hair up for school?
Oh, did you?
Yes, of course I did.
Okay,
Peak independence.
that's amazing. That's amazing.
Thank you. What was yours?
Okay, it's drastically different.
Okay.
Possibly like driving to like being able to like drive alone. So I did have my license.
Okay.
We should
Sure hope
have
so.
I have my license. But that trust that my mother had in terms of me getting the car alone and being able to drive alone to whatever I want was like, yes, I've achieved it.
Like euphoria was reached.
Yes, it was amazing. But yeah,
I love the disparity. I'm like 8 years old. You're like 18. Like I can drive.
21.
Okay. We'll come back to that.
Continue.
When you drove, we'll come back to it. But I want to say, like, despite how vastly different they are, if we have like a Venn diagram of experiences, they're both very solitary activities.
That's very
They seem
true.
very solitary.
It's very like me,
myself, and I focused.
True.
Which is ironic if we link this back to our first episode where we just learned we're very collectivist. We want interrelations. We want to be a part of a group. And yet our idea of independence is, again, very me, myself, and I.
That's so interesting.
Why do you think that is?
So many questions.
It's one question. One question.
My first like thought would be media, Western media specifically. I'm talking about like books, TV shows, movies, where the portrayal or the depiction of independence is like the character turns 18 and they immediately have to go out. They move out. They travel the world. Or if we want to take a step further, it's 16-year-olds getting their first car, which is insane to me because they find like, and they have this like new profound sort of sense of freedom, and these ideals of independence are put into us at such an early age. One main example I can think of is Hotel Transylvania, Mavis. Okay, the story, like the movie starts off with her literally turning 18 or 118 in the context of the movie, but yeah, the whole story starts about like her wanting this independence, her wanting to travel the world, and I feel like even though we are, even though if we come from a collectivist culture like Sri Lanka or any Asian like cultures, we are still driven with that perception of I want to move out, I want to go abroad to study and all that stuff because of these ideologies of like media, and it has a huge impact on how we do it. Yeah,
absolutely. I love that you harped on media because that is what we're exposed. That's part of our development.
Yeah,
and it's not even the concept of being 18. Like even younger than that, like younger shows like Avatar: The Last Airbender. These are like 10-year-olds going on.
They were 10.
I swear they're like 10. Aang looks 10. I think he's like 12 at the end. I could be so wrong. Please correct me. But they're like children. Like even younger shows, they always leave. They always like leave their nest. But it's ironic because they leave to find themselves, but they also emphasize the power of friendship. So we have culture embedded in it, but it's always a search for something, and that's what I feel like independence we're looking for. We're always looking with independence.
I can add on that again.
Oh, please do.
But looking for ourselves, right? Looking for something. Sorry, I meant looking for ourselves. They are definitely searching for something, and I would say they're searching for themselves. Right? And I want to bring sort of identity formation into this, right? So we are collectivists. We are naturally, as humans, we are collectivists at nature, right? For example, if I were to bring, if I were to ask yourself, right? Can you describe yourself right now?
Psychologist. Kind of scared.
Okay, not right now. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's all part, like if I were to ask anyone really, the audience at home, to describe yourself, you're mainly going to associate with groups that you're associated with. For example, the university you're studying in, or the companies you're working in, the clubs, the societies, whatever groups you are in, you're going to sort of identify with that. Sorry, okay?
It's okay.
And I feel like once we are in that sort of group like mindset, we kind of get lost in it, where our identity just becomes that part of a group that we are in. Okay, example I thought of right now, right? Okay, if I were to ask a band member, okay, describe who they are, and they say, oh, I'm a part of a band, instead of saying I'm a guitarist. You know, it's
that makes sense.
that's the difference between a collectivist mindset and an individualist mindset. And when you're always in that collectivist mindset, you can sort of lose your identity.
I feel
and that's why the craving comes from searching for themselves.
Right.
And again, another example.
You're just giving examples.
I'm giving examples back to back. Have you watched Happy Feet 2?
The tap dancing penguin, right?
Tap dancing?
That's the plot of the movie.
Okay,
it's called Happy Feet.
I haven't watched it. Sorry.
Where's this example coming from?
It was a
Where are you pulling this?
It was a TikTok clip that I found the clip really interesting. Okay.
The movie is also interesting.
Forget about the penguins. Forget about the penguins. Okay. I'm talking about a specific moment, like a side clip. It's talking about krill, Bill the krill.
Who?
Think of like a shrimp, but like quite small. Search it up. Perhaps it might be here. I'm not sure. But Bill the krill. He's a character in the Happy Feet movie.
Equally blind.
Yes.
I'll see it in post.
But yes, so
fix my posture.
So krill, right? Essentially, they are the main food sources for whales, and they exist in a sort of like swarm of things. So just imagine, like in the ocean, you see this like huge swarm of like orange, because they are orange, right? And that's like their whole existence. They swarm and they move forward, right? That's who they are. That's who they exist for. And then the movie sort of centers about this one character, Bill the krill. Okay.
You love a little rhyme.
Yeah. And he has this sort of epiphany moment where he's like, I no longer want to just be like, I no longer want to swarm. I no longer want to go with the crowd. You know, he wants to be better, like expand. He wants to essentially find himself, right? And then his friend, kind of like the voice of reason, I guess, Will the krill.
Bill and Will,
right? He's like talking to Bill, and like he's like saying, no, what are you talking about? We are krill. We just do this. We just do that.
You're
right?
a food source.
We are food source. Like what are you talking about? Finding yourself, right? They go back and forth, but then the end of the clip shows that both of them did find their way out of the swarm, and they now see themselves for who they are, like individually. That they are just Bill, not Bill the krill. You know,
it's just their name.
It's just them. It's just them, and then I feel like that's what we have to do in terms of like jumping out of our like groups and our group think, where we need to find ourselves outside sort of the swarm of things, pun intended,
Yeah.
right?
I see two parts.
Yes.
The first part of me is really jarred that you haven't watched this movie, but I'm also enthralled that you've created a critical analysis of the shrimp in this movie. Penguin, no, the shrimp.
Anyways,
Anyways, but I do like the fact that you talked about them swimming outside of the storm, like away from the storm. But he's also swimming away from the current, if that makes sense.
Oh.
Because he's standing apart.
He is standing apart.
Yeah, and I feel like we need that because, like you said, he's no longer Bill the Krill. He's just Bill. He's just Bill.
He's just Bill.
But I feel that's really important because when we talk about like the looking glass self in episode 1, it's us in a third perspective. But you can't see a perspective of yourself if the glass is like foggy with too many handprints. Because there's too many people encroaching on yourself. So I feel like we do need to step back because otherwise we're like a shapeshifter who forgot its identity.
Yeah.
There's too many people within us in a weird way.
That's true.
Yeah. And I'm gonna liken this to the movie, like the actual movie that you still haven't watched.
Okay.
I won't spoil it because she will be having a movie day after this. Both movies. Was it the second movie?
It was the second movie.
Watch the first one.
Sister, what? Who has to watch Inside Out?
I watched the first one. I haven't watched the sequel.
You haven't watched Inside Out.
The second one, the sequel. Because sequels kind of suck.
Okay.
Respectfully.
Happy Feet 2.
You don't know. You don't have a basis. Happy Feet 2 suck.
Anyways, let's continue.
Okay. Okay. But the cusp of the movie, like Happy Feet itself, without spoiling it for you, it's about this sort of divide that they have about their culture and their identity in a weird way.
Okay.
Like it's a lot of self-exploration of all the characters, even the shrimp apparently. And I feel like that's what we need with independence. It's a balance of, okay, who are you? What reflection are you doing about yourselves and also your culture? And that's exploration, knowing your people, knowing your likes, knowing your interests, knowing your roots. And then with that understanding, these two worlds can kind of merge. And that is a part of our independence because you can't exist without one or the other.
Exactly.
In a weird way. I feel like that's what we need. But the reason it's so challenging, I feel like, for us, one, because we're super young, it's a process. It is a process. Second, we need to know what independence means for us. Like the word itself is so broad.
It's a spectrum, really.
Exactly. And there's so many variables in it. And I feel like when we dissociate what the variables are, because again, independence is super specific to the person.
It is.
My idea is putting my hair up, yours is driving. So we need
different people, two different
layers,
people,
right?
yeah.
But I feel like what could be universal is, say, the words like independence, respect, and controllingness. If we can disassociate those, because I'm going to use you as an example again. For example,
please do.
You have a sister.
I do. Yes.
Let's assume that she invites you out for an event, and she says, "Oh, it's a formal event, so maybe dress a bit formal." Do you feel like her saying that, like giving that guideline, impedes on your independence?
No, I feel like it comes from a sort of sense of respect.
Yeah, absolutely.
She invited me out, and if she's paying,
let's assume she is.
She should.
Yeah.
I'm gonna respect her wishes if she wants me to wear a sort of dress code, and that doesn't necessarily mean my independence is stripped away from me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's a respect thing, exactly.
Yes.
They're not the antithesis of each other. They work together.
Yeah.
And I feel like it boils down to autonomy. You know for a fact she won't force you to wear it.
Exactly.
You have your free will left. But if we take the other variable, controllingness, then it's an issue of, okay, do I have that independence factor? Because, for example, controllingness would be me locking you in here after we finish recording and making you watch Happy Feet. That's your independence going we.
Okay.
They can't help you. This is post-recording. This is weeks later.
Okay.
They can't help you. But that's, I feel like, what we need to understand. We need to understand not just ourselves, but what we mean by that independence.
Yes, that's true. I would love to. I love that whole.
Thank you.
There's different variables that borderline like independence definition. I do want to add. There's also extraneous variables that borderline. As always, right? That borderline independence as a concept, and I want to bring in expectations.
Oh, okay.
Right? Do you have anything to say before I continue?
Like independence and expectations, the link?
Yeah.
Well, where I'm going with, I feel like it's a personal expectation of independence, but also external, like, as you said, external. Like,
exactly.
What are other people wishing on you?
That's
in a way?
Actually a beautiful segue point.
Oh, I'm shy.
I want to bring in a theory.
Teamwork. It's always a theory.
It's always a theory. I bring in a theory. It's a bit wordy, so don't mind my pronunciation. Bronfenbrenners.
Say that again, just so the mic catches it.
Bronfenbrenners.
Okay.
Ecological systems theory, right? Okay, so just to describe it, right? Think of a person and the systems either furthest or closest to this person and how it contributes to their development.
Yeah.
Okay. Hopefully on the screen you can see.
Hopefully, imagine like a Russian doll that like goes from small to like big.
Yeah, or like a bunch of circles, right?
It is a circle.
It's literally a bunch of circles, okay? And these systems essentially are either like your parents or your peers, your partner, the government itself, right?
Yeah.
That all contribute. And all of these systems, I would say, have certain expectations when it comes to independence.
Yeah.
For example, the government, basic expectation they have of us for independence would be maybe be financially stable, maybe have a job, you know, whereas comparing to like a parent's point of view, it will be come home on time, right? Or be responsible in terms of either your job or your responsibilities or like your university work, right? And then parental expectations, obviously they're going to differ from our own.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Do you have anything to add?
To go off yours, like the parental expectations.
Yeah.
I feel like where the expectations differ is we're very focused on our freedom.
We are.
And they are concerned about our safety.
We definitely are.
They're worried about our safety. Like I assume when you first started driving, I assume your parents were like, be safe.
Non-stop calling.
You're on the road. Like,
I'm on the road. And she's like, where are you? And I'm like,
Okay.
I'm on the road.
Yeah. They're worried I'm going to have road rage. I can't drive.
Road rage?
They're so worried I'm going to just yell. I don't know. And I'm like, I won't. I promise. Probably.
Okay.
I don't like the sound of honking. I don't think I'd honk myself.
Okay.
It's like nails on a chalkboard to me.
We're gonna talk about this later.
You're gonna make me drive out.
Yes, I want to talk about this later. But yeah, definitely, we have different sort of expectations in terms of like ourselves and our parents, right? What about like communications?
I feel like the way those two interlink is because our expectations differ, how others view us, how others view who we're supposed to be.
Yes.
It influences how well we feel independent. And to go about your communications aspect, that's where it comes in, because I feel like we all have that moment where we think back and we're like, I could have said something different.
Oh,
I hope that was a good thing they said about me. I will be recounting this episode like, oh God, did I stutter?
Yeah, I'm not gonna watch, like, I'm not gonna listen to this episode back. But yeah,
so communications, and there is a theory regarding this, as usual.
There's another theory.
It's called transactional analysis. So, basic idea, we have 3 ego states. We have 3 people we can front as. We have our parental ego state, best example, the mom friend,
Yani. Shout out to Yani.
We love Yani. So she'll probably be talking in a very maternal sense, parental sense,
Always.
right? And that's from like her environment, her upbringing, and so forth.
Yeah.
The second ego state is the adult ego state. Hopefully, we're both communicating.
Yeah, speaking, right?
I hope so.
Yeah.
So it's parallel communication.
Yes.
The third ego state is the child ego state. This is like our base instincts. If we take Freud, it's our id.
He's everywhere. Like, why did he come in here?
I love the way you just gave up. You were like, that's my trigger.
Why is he sneaking his way into everything?
In everything.
Everything. Freud is
He
everywhere.
has a honorable doctorate in law.
What?
Yeah, it's insane.
He's in, okay.
We'll talk about this. But so where the feeling comes in, there could be cross-parallel communication. So this is parallel.
Okay.
We're going back to point.
Okay.
But if we take, say, like the mom friend, that's a parental ego state. That may lead to us not really responding in an adult ego state,
Oh, but
a child ego state.
okay.
Maybe we're whinging, we're whining, we're saying no.
Wait, which
I sure hope I don't throw tantrums. Yani, don't confirm.
Okay.
But that does create a power imbalance, and also maybe a source of conflict, because you're the same age, but also you want that independence.
Yeah.
And I feel like with parents, their expectations, you're their baby, you're their wee little lad, your wee little chap,
like a little,
your baby.
Yeah. Even like and even though adding on to that, right? Even though I'm 21 right now, I'm considered legally an adult.
Yes.
In their eyes, I'm always gonna be
Exactly.
like the youngest. I'm the youngest of the family. I know.
Baby.
Okay, and I would say that my expectations that my mother had or my parents have for me differ greatly in terms of like my older sister, right? No matter what age we are at, given that she's the older sister and I'm the younger sister, there's going to be a discrepancy between the expectations in terms of independence. And another theory, birth order theory, where where the expectations or whatever variable you want to add differs according to where you are in the placements, right? Whether if you're the youngest, middle, or the eldest, right? Or even the only child. Okay, so I spoke about me being the youngest. What about you being like the only child?
I feel like it's with only children. This is my experience.
Yes.
I feel like I can take on all the roles because there's no one to compare myself to. It is just me. So all the expectations are on me. So I know how to behave. I don't have to there's no favoritism because it's just me.
Oh, that's amazing.
Thank you.
That's amazing.
But also I take on the older sister role because I have so many younger cousins. They look up to me and our relationship is like we're siblings. So I felt that
so you're playing
I have to
roles.
Exactly. Hint for
Another
coming
future episode.
But so I've never felt that I'm lacking in like siblings because I am in that role.
Okay, that's interesting.
I've been the youngest, the oldest. I'm just bouncing around.
Unfortunately, we have no middle children right now as hosts. But
or our previous host. Do we have middle children?
We don't.
Okay.
But there is
it's okay.
Anyways,
our audience
can I don't know, comment,
please
comment on your opinions about being the middle child and so on and so forth, right? We talked about birth order.
Yes.
Do you think there's a difference in terms of gender now? Like male,
With a question like that, it's always yes. There's never a moment where I felt like, no, there isn't a gender difference.
There's always gender difference.
Because I feel like there is.
Yeah.
Not even in a bad way, just like the answer is always yes, and then you unpack that. And when it comes to expectations, I feel like as like little kids growing up, we've always seen that gender difference. Like, we feel like boys have more freedom.
True.
And you're allowed to, say, be rowdy, go out later. They get more responsibilities at that age, and they're not punished for it. The same way girls are like reprimanded. We are told, we have early curfews, don't talk too loud.
They don't get that much consequences.
Yeah. And I feel like that's a double-edged sword. I feel like with men, because they're going through life, like, you have this much freedom, what do they do when they want to like pause and like take a break? They keep accelerating because there's no one to like there's no cones around them being like, hey, maybe you can slow down because XYZ may happen. Versus girls, we're kind of constrained.
Quite harmful, right, for them?
I feel like for them, they make it hyper independent where they feel like they have to be independent because of freedom. Versus for girls, we're trying to overcome that constraints we're built with. So we have to, and we are putting more on ourselves to do that. What do you think?
That's actually, I love how you brought in hyper-independence.
Thank you.
Because hyper-independence in terms, as you talk about men, we talk about women. Hyper-independence, I would say, in terms of women, are more safety-oriented, right?
Absolutely.
And I do want to connect with like historical perspectives where we as women, we didn't have independence back in the day. We weren't allowed basic rights. And then now that independence, or the hyper-independence rather, stems from that sort of like wanting to be that independent woman, you know, and I do want to be that. I know you do. I know most of the women in the degree also do want to be this independent woman, right? But it also can be harmful, like you said, because if we are, or if we do ever ask for help, or if we are ever dependent on someone, it's sort of seen as we're weak. Or
it's very hard to.
Or we can't like stand for ourselves or something, right? But then that hyper-independence again is also harmful, because when we don't like ask for help per se, we could like get we could get into ourselves.
It's too much on our plate, but we can't lean on each other. I find it really hard to be like, can you help me with this part?
Exactly.
It's really hard to ask for help.
Exactly. That's the whole thing about asking for help is such a big thing, because it's hard to do.
I need like a day to prepare. Like I need to ask this from someone.
This is why I can't ask basic questions.
Like from teachers, even I'm like, I can't text them just yet.
Exactly. But overall, again, addressing the audience, this is a very female-dominated,
very woman-centered. Like a degree
in the room and the degree, really. So please jot down your like ideas, your opinions, what you think about it.
It is just our perspective. It's just two people talking. We have the facts in place, but it's our interpretation, opinions of the facts. So we love different opinions because one, we're nosy, two, we like reading. So we'd love to know your worldview and how your perceptions of it is, because everyone's experiences are different. Their growth, independence, and since we're winding down now, to kind of highlight things that stood out to me, I want to say the idea of of balance. I want to reiterate that.
Yes.
Not in terms of just like, oh, independence, like where you self-explore yourselves and culture, but also like with the concept of independence.
Okay.
You can be too dependent and also too hyper-independent.
True.
You need to allow yourself the room to lean on others, because you can have the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
You can be one thing. You need to allow yourself the room to grow. Because I feel like we try so hard to fit ourselves into boxes. We
do.
have like the MBTI, we have like, oh, we're introverts, we're extroverts, we have like even astrology. We're trying so hard to put ourselves into a box, like I'm this, I'm that, I'm this. But we need ourselves, well, we can be many boxes. Our boxes can expand because we're like
so
70% water. We're so fluid.
That's so true.
Embrace that fluidity.
Metaphorically and physically.
Exactly.
So much water.
Exactly. We can grow. We're plants. Guys, we're plants.
We're plants.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Like theologically.
Theologically. Okay.
Realistically, like all the Abrahamic religions.
Okay. Again, I would say, again, the balance aspect of it as well. But also, I do want to go on that
left a few hints here and there.
Multiple hints, really.
Yes. So it's going to be about multiple selves and culture. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye. Thank you.